11:30 podcast. It's Odie Breeze, baby. Dre on wheels. You know it. Now where you was when a nigga was messed up?
Where you was
I was
at,
on
man?
my ass. I was stuck in a tree. Ain't
Out
nobody
there
help me
fucked
out.
up.
Ain't nobody help me down. I was faded. I was drinking. I was
nobody
popping
tell
the
me
molly. I
shit.
wasn't thinking.
Yo, what it do, everybody? It's your man Dre, aka Dre on Wheels. Welcome back, you guys, to a new episode of the 11:30 podcast. How everybody doing out there? What's goody? Glad you guys joining me here for a new episode. Here it's Tuesday. I appreciate it so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. I appreciate it so much. If you new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Like this video, leave a comment, share it. I appreciate it, man. Try to get the 11:30 podcast up and out there. You guys, man, this week's episode is a pleasure. It's an honor, you guys. I'm about to learn something. You feel me? But this episode is going to be a good one. This week's guest, you guys, all the way from Flint, Michigan. His name is Eric Patrick Thomas, you guys. Eric Patrick Thomas, he's an entrepreneur who is passionate about trying to change the way people view people who have disabilities, you guys. In addition to serving the community as a public speaker, both motivational and at House and Senate hearings, you guys. So yeah, it's gonna be a cool one, you guys. He's also here to tell you guys also about the tragic accident that left him paralyzed 23 years ago. So it's going to be a cool episode, you guys. Before we dive into all of that, you guys, I want to shout out my guest who was on last week, my man Black, all the way from Dallas, Texas, you guys. Man, if you haven't heard my man Black music, head over to Spotify, iTunes, you guys, man. My man Black got some fire music. His latest album, BWO. Check out the Menace to Society 1-2. That junk crank, man. That junk crank. So shout out my man Black. But like I said, you guys, Eric Patrick Thomas is my guest this week. He's all the way from Flint, Michigan, you guys. He's an entrepreneur, man. He's a motivational speaker. He owns his own business, you guys. Eric Patrick Thomas. Eric, what's going on with you?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you for joining me here on the 11:30 podcast this week.
Yes.
How's your day going so far?
It's going well, man. It's going well.
Okay, well, I got you here on the 11:30 podcast this week. Like I was saying, it's a cool interview. I seen your post on Facebook. You were saying it been 23 years ago since a fatal accident that left you paralyzed, and you were trying to do 23 interviews, and I couldn't help, man. I was like, man, I gotta reach out to my man. This is sound like a really cool opportunity. Not only that, the story that you were telling that like I was saying, 23 years ago on a fatal night in 1997 that left you being paralyzed. I want to know if you can elaborate on that.
Yeah. So next Sunday, September 20th, the night will be 23 years that I've been in, since my injury. And every year I kind of like to celebrate life. It's another year, kind of like a life celebration. I think a lot of people kind of celebrate that day because it's a tough day, and then you can make it a more positive day. What happened is, me as being I've always loved hip hop, so I was always doing hip hop music, and we had our album release party that night, so we were going to put out like a music project, and we were celebrating. But of course, we did it at our house. All three of us, Miscellaneous was the name of the group. We all lived in the same house, and so we had the party at the house. So not a very professional setting for celebrating this album release. And so I went outside to check the parking lot, and I was maybe out there for 5 minutes just making sure everything was cool. And I was facing the house. I was sitting on the steps or standing. Then someone came around the van, the DJ van, pulled the gun and just opened fire. Pow, 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 pow. And I got one. I got the one in my third vertebrae. That's still in there. And then it looks like one might have grazed the back of my head. So I think when they shot me from the back side, like I turned, to the left, then that might have been how the other one grazed the back of the skull. But instantly, man, I dropped. I lost the ability to breathe on my own, to talk, to yell, to to cry, to ask for help, anything. I was in my own my own darkness, I guess. You know, I was in because even if I needed help, I couldn't tell someone, "Hey, I need help." And so that's kind of like that's what happened. Long story short, you end up in the hospital, tubes in your throat. Uh, they didn't give me a trach yet, but I had to communicate with eye blinks, blink once for yes, twice for no. Then I learned how to do tongue clicks. That was my form of communication. Then eventually they gave me a trach and they screwed 4 screws on my head. So I had a halo, 2 on the front and 2 on the side. And then I had a ventilator. I had it in a tracheotomy. That was all at the hospital. At the same time, nobody did the shooting. Police didn't do any investigation. The detective didn't even show up till 4 days later.
Wow.
So it was like a snowball of chaos and trying to get stable and move forward and heal and survive all at the same time.
Oh wow, that's a very very interesting story, man. And you got the willpower that you're still here, and you also an advocate for self-determination living because you're paralyzed and you're in a wheelchair. I'm also in a wheelchair also too, but we're gonna talk about you, but yeah, you're an advocate for self-determination living. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I was from the hospital to rehab. I went to Craig Hospital for rehab, and I went there because the area or any of the rehab centers, they didn't take vent patients. They only took so many. So that's how I ended up in Craig Hospital in Colorado. And they were gonna wean me, and their job like that they could do is wean me off the ventilator. So that was the big move out there. After going to Craig Hospital, which is basically rehab boot camp, I went back to my mom and stepdad's house. So I didn't have to go to a nursing home. Then it was just kind of like coming out of a planet. While I was in rehab, I was on another planet. Now I'm back down on planet Earth. And it's like, okay, so what do we do now? Well, here it is. It's 1998. It's March 20th of 98. And it's like, how do people that need supports live? Like, can they live on their own? Can they go to college? Can they have families? All these questions, and you got to find the resources. The more that you find the resources in your area and advocates, the more you can start building that circle of supports. So it started as mentoring other people just by the story. But then as I started learning like what our rights were, that we could get care and live on our own and get 24-hour care, but you got to find the right resources. What Voc Rehab is, you can, I started, advocating for that self-determination. Like I wanted to make sure people could live independently and still have the care that they need to live independently and not always have to live with someone else and not get put in a nursing home. And it was kind of like the advocacy work of that and being around other people that had disabilities. You start learning. This is a learning thing. This is a learning and growing thing. But you got to put in work. You can't just sit back and not get involved. I survived this. So on one hand, one half of me is I have a responsibility to be able to make things better for the other people that may come, after me, blaze that trail, just like people did for me to be independent. And I just, I started going to committee meetings. So I started getting involved with going to Senate hearings and the House hearings, just getting involved, letting them know that we have a voice, we have a quality of life, and we don't want to go in nursing homes, unless that person, that's their choice, then that's different. But people are getting forced in them without a choice. And then the opportunity came in 2005, and Congressman Dale Kildee came in, and the guy Dave and I, we talked to him and we pitched our life off. Like it was the pitch of the lifetime. And it was called, and he took that information and what we said. We didn't have long. We had like a minute and 30 seconds or something. But whatever we said to him, he took that back to DC and he introduced this bill called Money Follows the Person, and it brought billions of dollars to get people out of nursing homes, and it's still around today. It just got voted on, I think, this year. But yeah, it's called Money Follows the Person. So I've always been a strong person about self-determination, the person-centered plan, making sure people, once you learn about self-determination, the person-centered plan is really big. Getting your circle of supports, making sure that, every year you go over like your goals, your dreams, what's your fears, where do you want to be in the next year, and then get people to be accountable that say, yeah, we'll help you out with that and that. So I'm very strong with self-determination. I think everybody should have the right to be able to live independently if they want to, or live where they want to live and have that best quality of life. Disability is not a crime. You should not be putting people in nursing homes against their will. When you pay for a nursing home, you should pay for independent care inside a household too. So.
That's good, man. That's good. Throughout the tragic accident, how did you deal with it?
Prayer.
Prayer.
Without that, I'd be broken. Actually, I was broken. That lifted me up. So, and with and knowing the things that I knew, being around, going to church, or being around, I don't even want to call them like faith mentors, people that taught you about faith. When I was in rehab, I actually had a priest or chaplain come into my room and ask me, do I forgive or forgive those that shot me? So how he knows I got shot, I have no idea. But it was like the spotlight of the galaxy was like shining on me, and it was like, so what did you learn in the last 20 years? And I was like, I said yes. And when I said yes, it meant it in my heart, in my soul. Man, life changed, man. Like everything changed. So I would say faith has been carrying me, and still does. At the same time, just getting strong, mindset, trying to find the positives in things. There's always a message, there's always a positive of something that's a bad storm or a bad situation. You might not know it right now. It might come 10 years later, and then you have that, that's why that happened. It's I don't know, that's been my main thing, man. And I wouldn't change it. Somebody asked me that before, you could change the future or the past, what would you do? I do the exact same thing. Because there's been so many people that's received help from what happened. There's so much change that's happened. There's so much positive things that's changed for people. And sometimes that's just how it's got to be,
Yeah, right about that, man. Right about that. Like I said earlier in the show, you're Mr. Inspired. You're the founder of Inspired Brain Clothing. Can you tell me about that? Because I see your shirt, I see your cool hat, man. So.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
We'll have to make sure to send you a shirt.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, tell me more about Inspired.
Well, Inspired comes from a childhood dream. When I was growing up, especially around hip hop, I always wanted to have my own clothing line. I was like, I'm gonna get my own clothing line. And then remember back in the day when they used to do airbrushing and stuff?
Yeah.
I would go to an airbrusher and I'd be like, yeah, this is E-Rock or something. I don't remember what. It was my Sire was my name spelled backwards or something. So it was CRIE. Then I had some dice in my hands and some baggy hoodie. But, I had some airbrushing. I always said I wanted to have my own clothing line or a brand, and after just getting out of rehab, I tried so many ventures. I tried to own a record label. That didn't work. I wrote for an entertainment newspaper that was backed by Interscope Records called The Promoter, which I write by my voice. I type by voice recognition software. I use Dragon Naturally Speaking. Then I did that for about 5 or 6 years, met a lot of artists, did the hip hop summit and everything. It was awesome. But then that paper eventually kind of slowed down. And then I was like, what am I going to do next? So I did mentoring, I did speaking. I opened up an internet radio station. I had a blanket license through Lives 365. But that eventually the royalty rates changed and we just couldn't afford to keep the station open. And then I just went back to my childhood dream. I connected with Goodwill Industries, which the services that I receive community living supports. And another part is called supportive employment. And Goodwill has a contract with the supportive employment side. So I met with them and got a person, like a counselor, like a supervisor, and we went over a business plan. And she already had done a t-shirt business 10 years ago. So she already had some knowledge in it. So it kind of started that way. And I was like, okay. And we wrote the business plan, let people read it and got feedback. And rewrote it. Probably like about a year, I would say, of planning and listening and talking to other companies. Then I launched, I got a business partner and we got incorporated. And then the business name was Easy Awareness by Design. And then before you know it, November of 2011, my business is opening. And we also got a space inside the Goodwill headquarters in Flint. And originally it was going to be t-shirts with messages, like empowerment and things like that. And with the equipment, we figured out we could do a bunch of other stuff, graphic design and branding and signs and banners and a bunch of things. But then I started going and speaking at schools, and I started wearing a shirt that said Inspire. And I would go and speak, well, not just schools, so just other places. But this one time, I went to the Swords Creek Middle School, and I talked to maybe 300, 400 kids there and stuff. But it was something, it was like an epiphany, I don't know. It was something I saw, like the light in their eyes. They wanted to be like, listen, they wanted to do something. These are middle schoolers. They wanted to be better. They wanted to be, it was like I was empowering them to want to go after their dreams and goals and just be the best that they could be. And that day I was like, I looked at Jesse, and Jesse's my graphic design artist and assistant. I was like, we got to make this public. So then that's kind of like how it went from there. Organically, we started marketing it. We went to the Damon John Academy not too far after that. And our website, we had stuff on the website, but we had no idea how to get sales. We built the website with getting sales. Like we didn't even know how to, we just had a website. And we learned to get a Shopify page. That was a good e-commerce page to get. So after the academy, the next day, we took our website down and we launched the Shopify page and started selling Inspire. And we got sales that night or that evening. And then we started selling it, and we started putting on Facebook saying, hey, show us your Inspire. So people would take the picture with Inspire. Sometimes they would be like, I got to go to the barbershop. I'm like, it's not that serious. Like, just do, just what inspires you. So every day on social media, I would share it and say, what inspires you? Music, artist, a person, you know what I mean? The weather, a sunset, a sunrise, you know what I mean? What inspires you? And it just kind of grew. And then people started buying it for people that were like doing cancer treatment or like dialysis or somebody that inspired them. And it kind of organically grew these branches. So it started with like a seed and it grew a tree. And then each branch, it kind of took on its own, meaning and stuff for people. And then I just watched it. It was amazing. And I focused a lot just on the black and white for a long time. People wanted other colors. I was like, no, we got to get this brand first. Like we got to get the classic. And then after a while, we started making the mission. The mission, we knew how Inspire was, but the mission statement was building as people were helping it grow. It's the people that helped it grow and then built the mission around it. The mission was always there, but it wasn't always like everything the way it is now. And then later on, we came with the tagline, a lifestyle changing the world, because it's a lifestyle brand and it promotes change. It promotes positive change. It empowers. It has people doing the best that they can. And then one day on Friday, Damon John wore the Inspire shirt and he posted on social media and said, he wrote a page about me and said he's the brand of inspiration. And so that day we started Inspire Friday. So every Friday we would say, what inspires you for Inspire Friday? And so that's how Inspire Friday started. And now, it's just, I don't know, man, it's beautiful. I get to wake up and do my childhood dream. No matter how bad the day could be, it's still lovely, man.
Cool, buddy. Cool, man. It's real, real awesome. But you guys, man, sit tight. We're going to take a quick, short break here on the 1130 podcast. I got my man, Eric Patrick Thomas here in the building on the 1130 podcast. So you guys sit tight. We'll be right back.
When it comes to growing your podcast, it's tough to know where to start. That's why Anchor gives podcasters the tools they need to make each episode better than the last. Now, Anchor Analytics includes new stats from Spotify to help you better understand who's listening and what they like about your show. With charts that let you see how far people are making it into each episode and where they're dropping off, you can plan your podcast around the content that performs best. Hover over to see how many people are tuning into specific segments and learn what hooks your audience by comparing the average listening time across multiple episodes. Using anonymized demographic data from Spotify, take a granular look at the age and gender of your listeners to start tailoring your content or targeting new audiences. Track analytics from multiple platforms and Spotify insights. Everything you need to grow your podcast, all in one place with Anchor.
Yo, you guys, welcome back here to the 1130 podcast. I want to give a shout out to my big brother, Zodi Breeze, man. I appreciate the music, man. They dig it, you guys. But you guys, I got my guest, Eric Patrick Thomas here. He's an entrepreneur. We're going to hop right back into our interview, you guys. You was talking about Damon Jones. I seen you doing an interview with him. And you were also talking about how the experience you were on Shark Tank. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So in 2015, I still haven't taken a vacation. I haven't been anywhere since I got out of rehab. So he, messaged me. He was like, "Hey man, I want you to come out. Can you come out to LA?" And I was like, yeah, of course. He was like, "I want you to come out to, check out Shark Tank. Be my guest of honor he was on the cover of Inc. magazine. So I was going to be his guest of honor for his celebration the day before Shark Tank." This was Sunday. And I was like, okay, yeah. I'm thinking he's thinking like August or something. This is June. And he's like, just call get hold of my assistant. She knows everything. And I was like, I got to have caregivers with me, right? He was like, yeah, it's all good. So then I contacted his assistant and she's like, yeah, Damon wants you out there in 6 days. What? Like 6 days. So he made me hustle. Like he made me really put the grind down because I had to figure out how to coordinate with the plane, like the accessibility of getting on the plane, the wheelchair accessible transportation, the hotel, and everything. So 6 days later, we're heading to the airport. I've already coordinated with Delta. We get there, everything's pretty good, because I pre-did it. There's a person that helped me coordinate at the airport in Detroit. Then we get to the terminal. Then they bring out this aisle chair, this little dolly thing with a little half seat. I'm like, all right, what's up with this is what you're going on. I brought a sling with me too, so that was good. And I explained to them about the chair so that they didn't ruin the chair when they put it into the plane, underneath. So I'm like, all right. So we're just look at this dolly chair and the aisle chair, and then I just kind of coached. And there's a YouTube video of me coaching them how to lift me out of the chair and into the aisle chair. That's kind of like what I did, and it's all recorded. Then, of course, from the aisle chair, you go to the airplane seat. And, it's trying to go from the aisle chair to the airplane seat. There's a seat in front of you, so it's like your legs. You're like, wait, make sure my legs are good. Make sure my legs are, make sure my legs are straight. Make sure my butt's all the way back and the hips are good. So you go through that. That was smooth. That was smooth. We got to LAX. The thing is that the people that come to help, they all spoke different languages, so they were miscommunicating between even each other. It's all about communication is what I learned. And they were like, it was 5 of them and they all were speaking different languages. So they were missing communication themselves. So I got tossed around pretty bad. I felt like a duffel bag. I felt like gym laundry in a duffel bag for real. But I was excited. I'm in LA. I got to keep my team happy. We're in a delay. So now we're in the LAX. You got to go get your luggage. That's the other thing. Because you're the last one off the plane. Your luggage always ends up like in the claims department because you can't make it to the luggage thing in time. So here we are, we're trying to find it. We've never been here. This is all on recording too. It's like, okay, we finally get our luggage. Smart thing to do when you fly, make sure you mark your luggage, like get a ribbon, like a certain type of ribbon that you can recognize your luggage. Say it's like a certain NFL football team, and wrap your luggage handle in that so that when you're finding your luggage, you go, nope, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. So that was something we learned. Okay. Then it's like, okay, so how am I going to get to the hotel? Transportation. So we're out. There's thousands of, there's all these cabs, right? People fighting for cabs, but cab drivers fighting for people to get in them, and I'm like, oh, and I go up to the thing, where's the wheelchair accessible taxi? Wheelchair? There's no wheelchair accessible taxi. What? What are you talking about? There's people fighting for people over here. You don't got one that's accessible? Mm-hmm. No, they won't let me make a call. Yeah, you better. Because I got to get to downtown LA, and so he comes back to me after making phone calls. He's like, there's one van, but it's out, so it's gonna be about an hour and a half. Man, all right. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do at this time. I gotta get to the hotel. And the 2 people that are with me right now, they're starting to get aggravated from some of the things in the trip, some of the things that didn't go well. And they're hungry and tired, and so I had to keep them calm and collect. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. So then this van pulls up, and all I can hear I hear the guy say, wheelchair, wheelchair, wheelchair. We turn my GoPro on. I'm like, here we go. So I'm like, you looking for someone that you're here to pick up someone who uses a wheelchair? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's me. And then I'm looking at the van. He opens its side door up. There's no ramp. I'm like, where's the ramp at? It's like, yeah, hold on. He pops the trunk of the van open and gets out a portable ramp.
Wow.
A portable ramp.
Wow.
And I got video. You got to go to my YouTube channel and check this out. A portable ramp, man. I'm like, really? Okay. So then I ask him, is the passenger side, like, there's a seat in the passenger side. Where am I going to go? Where's the tie downs at? Oh, don't worry, man. Don't worry about the tie downs. They're in there. I'm telling you right now, when you watch this video, you're going to be like, I have no idea how you fit in that van because I don't know. I think I turned to like liquid or something and I was like an X-Men in there or something. It was like, because I rolled up it, and I was like, oh, and he wanted to push me too. And I'm like, I got it. I got it. Please don't touch the chair, you know? So I'm up in it, and I'm like, how am I? Not to mention it's pitch dark. All you see is one screen and my screen on the wheelchair. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? So I called John. John's my caregiver. Like, can you make sure I don't squish my feet? Like, he's like, all right. So he's on the other side. The door's open. I'm like, all right, can I turn? Can I turn? I'm like trying to get in between the driver, the passenger, and the bench seat in the middle of a minivan. It's not accessible. So I'm like, okay, now I'm in the middle. I'm stuck. I don't even know how I'm going to get out of this. Like, I got no idea how I'm going to get out. I'm like, okay, well, I'm secure because I'm in between all four seats. So then I say, then they got to come with me. And he's like, well, how much luggage you got? We had 8 bags because we were taking the Inspire stuff to the Shark Tank and to Damon's party. So a lot of it was all Inspire shirts and Inspire hats. He said 8 bags because the 8 bags was heavy, man. That's a lot of weight. Plus 2 people, a person that uses a wheelchair, that's about 605 pounds. Plus him, oh yeah, and his lunch that was sitting in the passenger side. Yeah, so we finally we're loaded up. It's 30 minutes later. We're rolling. Now I got the GoPro on. My dad asked the driver, why all those cabs, but not, this is the only one that, somewhat accessible. He's like, well, yeah, there's no money in it. You saw how long it took for you to get going. It took like 20, 25 minutes. No money in that. There's no demand. My dad was like, oh, I beg to differ. There is a demand. And he was like, no. He was like, so somebody needs to open up a transportation taxi company that's successful. And he's like, it won't work. No money. Wow. So I was like, wow. That's on video, so you can watch that too. The whole thing, the honesty of that guy. And really, I'm glad that I captured that honesty because that's how it is in this country.
It really is.
It really is. And why is this narrative not being on all the talk shows? Like, this stuff should be talked about every day until there's change. And that's the honesty of it. There's no demand, there's no money. Like, serious, do you realize like how many people use wheelchairs or crutches or amigos, like, that have mobile, a mobile disability? Like, come on. And that was the reality of it. This is 2015 at LAX. No way should that ever happen like that. So that was my experience of the taxi. I went to the hotel where the party was going to be. That way I wasn't late. There wasn't any problems. Got there, I think it was like 2 a.m, 3 a.m. The next day was the Damon John Inc. magazine party. We all went to that, got there early, had a great time. Damon made an awesome speech. He brought me up there. He talked about me. That's on YouTube. I also made a closing speech just to thank everybody because it was an amazing, just everything everybody did. Because, even if I didn't say thank you like 1,000 times, I want them to know that I appreciate it like more than anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the next day we went to Shark Tank. And so we go to Sony Studios and we get to Shark Tank and sign waivers. And then there's no audience. You just kind of sit there and you're either with like the other entrepreneurs or there's like press that's watching. And then I watched 9 pitches. So we watched 9 pitches. After each pitch, there's like a break. It might be like 5-minute break. So you're over there eating all the time or going to the back. It's catered, man. There's so much food. And then they take a lunch. And then it's just another catered. It's everybody there. The hospitality was amazing. They were all behind, like, they were we hope you do well. We wish you the best. I learned a lot from the pitches about like evaluation, high and low or too high, sales, that who invested, some will invest in people, some invest in certain things. All the sharks, people, all the sharks were really cool. I met some great people, some built relationships, and I just learned. It was just an amazing experience. I wasn't on the show. I was a guest of the show. And it was, and then, I come back to Flint, back on the plane, and I'm saying, and then I'm back here. You go back, I think, and then people go, oh, I saw pictures of you and Mark Cuban and Damon John, and they're like, oh, so everything's changed. I'm like, no, I go back to my same house. I go back, I take the experience and I put that towards things. But I think people think like you're going to be a billionaire or something all of a sudden. It's great. They're all like mentors, man. It's just shout outs to all of them that helped me, man. And thanks Damon for always supporting me.
That's cool, man. Awesome. Yo, you guys, we're gonna move on here on the 1130 podcast. Yo, man, it's time for a new segment. Eric, I'm pretty sure you're down to play a game, but it's a new segment here on the 1130 podcast, you guys. It's called Questions by April, you guys. Well, who is April? Well, you gotta just stick tuned to the 1130 podcast to figure that one out. But yeah, April sent in these questions, Eric, man, and I'm just gonna ask you some and just roll with it, man.
Cool.
If you were a movie director, what genre of movie would you make?
I would make something like real, like lifestyle, like a almost like a documentary, but if it's not a documentary, it would be like something that is real, and I would make it definitely about living life in this country with a disability, and hiring people that have disabilities as actors, not playing that they're disabled, that they actually are, and they're acting. And if they don't know how to act, I will help them go to teach them acting, get them to an acting workshop, if that was something that they would like to do.
Cool. That sounds awesome too. Yeah, if I had the opportunity in what genre, I would also make a docuseries too. I also said I wanted a movie. I wanted to direct and make a movie about my life too. But also, just on the fun side, if I had, another choice, I would make a horror movie. I'm a big fan of horror movies.
Okay.
That'd be a cool thing right there. Any current news that caught your attention?
Current news, the wildfires.
More than 1 million acres in the West, ravaged and scorched. So far in a fire season that is not even half over, and taking a tragic toll, the magnitude of which is still unknown. Smoke from Oregon's 3 major fires is unimaginably widespread. Its worst air quality in the world is choking the Pacific coastline, Seattle skyline to the north, San Francisco more than 800 miles to the south, and then to Los Angeles. The scenes and sickening air underscore for many that the climate is in crisis.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking. It's like you're so far away, you want to help, situations. So how can you help? Maybe you can talk to people that are there and just say, hey, how you doing? Like, there's something I can do. Is your air quality, is you okay to breathe? What's the neighborhood like? I guess like comfort support. I mean, if some people needed someone to talk to. The other thing is like share on social media, like if there's like fundraisers or something, or someone needs whatever, supplies, just, do that part. But it's sad. It's, and it's not just California, it's like the whole West Coast. It's just, it's so that'd be the current.
Yeah, it's a whole lot going on over there. I was supposed to have a guest who live in San Francisco, California, and he was unable to be on because of the wildfires. So yeah, it's a lot going on, and the air quality is very, very bad over there.
Oh, that'd be horrible.
If you can win any award, what would it be and why?
Wow. You know, like, of course, everybody thinks I'm going to say like the Inspire Award or something because of the Inspire, but I gotta
Yeah, that's a
like
cool
say
award.
like,
That's a cool award.
I gotta say like, of course, you know, Inspire Award, but if I had a second choice, like resilience or something, like, you know, being able to take a punch and get back up, take a punch and get back up, like constantly, consistently go towards my dreams and goals. So that would, whatever that award would be, and no matter what, like if I'm not able to breathe, then I'm gonna learn how to adapt and keep pushing forward. You know,
Okay.
so but the Inspire Award, of course, would be first.
Mhm, mhm. What's one thing you have on your bucket list?
um, on my bucket list, I thought about skydiving once, but
Oh man.
when I started talking to the people, they're like, "Oh yeah, well the landing, because a tandem jump." I'm like, "Well, because they do have like skydiving with you know, people that are use wheelchairs and stuff like that."
Mhm.
But the guy was like, "Yeah, like you know, the landing can be rough though. You know, you could, you know, I broke my femur and I had to be out for 2-3 months." I'm like, "Oh no, bro, like
Mhm.
can't mess with that, man. Like I gotta be able to be like make sure that it's a good landing." But bucket list, I want to check out. Well, I mean, there's, you know, I went to the West Coast, so I'd love to go to New York and go visit the shark group, you know, operation in Fubu, and would love to go to Miami for, and then the Georgia Aquarium. You know, I like you know sharks and things like that. So I'd like to like check out that aquarium.
Okay.
Um, I guess it's just like seeing things. I don't think there's a food that is on my bucket list because I've tried a lot of food. Like I'm an open-minded person, man. I explore and I want to experience new things in life.
Mhm.
Uh, Travel internationally would be great if it was, you know, as long as it was, if it was good for my body and my skin and stuff like that.
Cool.
You know,
Cool. That's
so
cool. Yeah, I would love to travel. Man, I'm telling you, the farthest I've been was Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So, man, a bucket list, a bunch of places that I would love to travel to. New York, California, overseas, man. It's just a lot of places.
Yeah.
A lot of places.
I know. I think my list is like probably 1,000 things on my bucket list or something. I don't got a bucket. I got like a an aquarium list of things or something. Just, yeah.
Okay. What's the oldest thing in your refrigerator?
Oh, that's good that you just said that because I was staying at my caregiver's house temporarily because of COVID.
Mhm.
I left there in March and I just got back July 26th. And the refrigerator was completely cleared out. So, and usually, and I'm a label checker too. I'm always like, yo, check that label. The oldest thing in that refrigerator, what was left in there? There was one thing that was left in there that didn't get thrown out or that wasn't bad. You know, there wasn't much in there anyways. I think it was the aloe vera gel.
Mhm.
The cooling sensation when you put the aloe vera on your body and stuff, like maybe from the sun, because sometimes you get sunburn. Because I'm like pale white, so the sun likes to cook me or grill me like a barbecue. So I get that aloe vera and it just soothes. So it's like green. When it's in the fridge, it's cold. That's probably the oldest thing in the fridge. But everything else, like food wise, it's all new. Maybe Frank's Red Hot sauce. That might be the oldest. You gotta have me some Frank's, man.
Okay.
That last.
My refrigerator, probably the oldest thing in there is maybe some cheese dipping sauce. You know, I like to eat some tacos. You know,
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. So
Every Tuesday.
I haven't had no nachos with them, so that's probably like the oldest thing in there for, you know, been in there for a little while. But what can you do that no one else can?
Ooh. What can I do that no one else can? Okay. What can I do that no one else can?
Well, while you think about that one, then I just say live in my shoes.
Right. Well, I was gonna say think like me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's me.
Yeah.
So nobody else is gonna be able to think like me because I'm not gonna be able to think like another person or see what I see. I can try and get you to see what I see, but you're not gonna, you're only gonna know by what I'm trying to explain to you by description. So whether that be perception. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about yours, man? What about you?
Like I said, live in my shoes,
Yeah.
Like how you were saying most of the interview, like you're in a wheelchair, I was born with a disability called Chaka-Marie. So, since the age of 3, I was diagnosed with a disability. I was walking all the way up until like the age of like 12 or 13. And, since then I've been in the wheelchair. So, a lot of people say, man, hey, life is tough, man. I don't know what it's like living in your shoes, man. I know it's hard, but hey, make it look good though. Make it look good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But my man, Eric Thomas, man, I appreciate you joining me here on the 1130 podcast this week. You're Mr. Inspired Entrepreneur. Man, you're doing a lot of stuff. Like you also mentioned you have a YouTube channel. Before we wrap it up, any shout outs and anything you want to say, promote yourself or where they can catch you at, and also get your expired gear.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Awesome. The website's inspireshirt.com. Inspireshirt.com. We're also on Amazon. So it's like it's amazon.com/inspireshirt. And then all the social media is Inspired Shirt, except Instagram, it's Inspired Shirt #1, because for some reason they didn't want to let us have Inspired Shirt. And it's not taken either. And then one of the things that you can do is just go to Google and type in Eric Patrick Thomas. Make sure to put Patrick because, of course, I also share the name with another motivational speaker with the other Eric Thomas. So I always use Eric Patrick Thomas so that they can find me. And then I'm on Facebook. All of it's under Eric Patrick Thomas. Instagram. Wow, there's so many shout outs. That's the problem. I shouldn't do shout outs because they leave someone out. Yeah. Shout out to everyone that's ever supported me, that's behind me, the team, and even the people that may not like me. I love you guys. So shout out to you too.
I appreciate it, man.
And shout out to 1130. 1130 podcast with Dre on Wheels.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. That's real cool, man. Thank you. And also thank you once again for joining me here on the podcast this week. It was a pleasure. It was an honor to sit down and talk to you this week, Eric. Once again, thank you for joining me here this week on the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Yo, Eric, man, I appreciate you joining me here on the 1130 podcast, man. It was a pleasure, man. It was really, really a pleasure. It was an honor, man, hearing your story, being paralyzed, man. And, I'm in a wheelchair. And like I was saying in the interview, man, I walked all the way up until 12. And, now using a wheelchair for, right now. But, man, I couldn't imagine, but you're real strong. You have willpower. And I congratulate you on all your success. And once again, stopping past here to talk and chat with me here, Dre on Wheels, on the 1130 podcast, man. I appreciate it so much, you guys. You guys go follow my man Eric Patrick Thomas on Facebook. Expired. He got his own clothing line. You guys support him, you guys. You see it at the bottom of the screen. You saw the link. Yeah, go support my man. I'm gonna try to get me a shirt. He said he's gonna give me a shirt. We're gonna get a shirt. But you guys, man, I appreciate you guys stopping past here on the 1130 podcast this week. You guys, before we wrap it up, man, I just want to let everyone know, I appreciate you guys who hit me up on Facebook. I left a post out there saying what's some topics I should talk about on the podcast this week. I got a couple of people who said love. Well, you guys, in the coming weeks, I have my man Tyrone Dixon that's going to be joining me here on the 1130 podcast, and we're going to talk about all love, all relationships, everything, man, everything all in one on that episode right there, man. So we're trying to mix it up, give all my viewers, men and the ladies, something to enjoy, you guys. But once again, man, I appreciate you guys stopping past here on Tuesday, man, joining me here on the 1130 podcast. You guys don't forget to follow the 1130 podcast on Twitter at Dre on Wheels, like the 1130 podcast on Facebook, you guys. Follow me also on Instagram at the 1130 podcast. Subscribe to the 1130 podcast also, you guys. And if you want to be a guest here on the 1130 podcast, email me, the 1130 podcast at gmail.com. That's the 1130 podcast at gmail.com, you guys. Also, you guys, man, don't forget, each and every Friday, I have a podcast that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. It's the 1130 Podcast Talk Pro Wrestling, you guys. So join me each and every Friday as I talk to some of your favorite independent referees, wrestlers, ring announcers, you guys. Man, just big wrestlers, man. Big wrestling fans also. So join me, man. It's going to be fun, man. Lady SmackDown each and every Friday. But you guys, man, it's been a fun episode. I'm down, man. I'm down. This was dope. Once again, you guys, I appreciate you guys stopping past here and enjoying the 1130 podcast. It's your man, Dre, a.k.a. Dre on Wheels, you guys, man. And I'm out.